I wonder if this thing is working. Okay, it says live now. What's up, y'all? This is your boy Gerald. It is the 29th of September, Thursday, and you are approaching the end of your week. How are you doing? How you doing, y'all? Are you able to sidestep what is being presented to you? Are you grounding your feet? Are you speaking your truth? Or are you just settling? Now, let me throw this disclaimer out there because some of y'all are going to see this video and you're going to see the title. And the title is going to be like, hey, I've seen this before, Gerald. Don't get caught up on this. This title will be edited. I'm just using this portal through Hangout. But this is actually going to be the video for kicking down the mountain. That's right. See, earlier today I came on and you know me, I'm the ever opportunist. Not. I'm optimistic. I'm a dreamer. But I stay grounded because I already know that God's got something special for us all. But to unlock that, we must unlock ourselves. To unlock ourselves, we must first have that connection with Him. Here's the ironic part about it. How can you understand your journey if you don't understand you? To understand you, you must first have a connection with what intimacy is. So if anything, that's the blueprint. That's the skeleton key. That's the doorway. That is also protected. That's right. Your blessings got your name written on it. It was already proclaimed the moment you took your first breath, because you do understand, y'all, what is it going to take to convince you you were a spiritual being first? This is nothing but a vehicle to understand the earthly experience known as being a human. I'm only human, flesh and blood, a man. No, you're a spiritual being first. Because see, you walk out your door, trip, slip, bust your lip, hit your head, and wake up months later and you can't feel your toes. You can't scratch your head. You can't feel the tingling sensations that run through that beautiful nervous system. Don't you realize, has it dawned on you, just as a species, how perfect we are? We're the proverbial perfect machine, so to speak, because I can't find the proper words to describe really what I want to say. But look at how we are developed. We have an organ that has a sole purpose. It already knows what to do. How? Doesn't have a brain. But you have a brain that sits up high. Why not? It's connected to your spiritual crown. Who am I talking to? That's why I'm going to always be a champion to you, my queens. You're coming back home. You do understand that. It just depends on how much pain you're willing to endure. And the truth of realizing that that was never your pain. Who am I talking to? The moment that you come back home, you will see what was holding you back, what you was not privy to, and what was going on behind the scenes of your life. But don't worry, because in lieu of your growth, there's also a spiritual battle going on for your life, y'all. These are the things that stimulate critical thinking and the protection navigated through your discernment. But these words mean nothing if you don't know you. I'm not talking about the person that's outside your door that the world gets to see on a smidgen of you. I'm talking about the real person that got the crust in the eyes and the breath smell like you who in the morning. That's the person that deserves the praise. That's the person that deserves to be loved. That's the person that deserves to be honored. And that is the person that has the possession of your dreams. See, all the things that you've seen thus far, has it not been progressive? And if it has not been progressive, why don't you stop right there, take a step back, and assess what's in your environment? Who's in your environment? Why don't you be honest and acknowledge who's not? Maybe that person who's not also has a key to helping you understand you. Maybe that's your daddy. Maybe that's that long-awaited communication with your mom. Because you do also understand 23 chromosomes from your father, 23 chromosomes from your mom makes blessing you. But here's the thing I love about the medical scientific community. They can't break down heredity. They can describe it, but they won't acknowledge it's spiritual. How is it possible that you act, talk like your father? You respond like your mother. And these are all the makings of you. How is that possible? Spiritual. Because we're kindred spirits before we are flesh and blood. That's why some of y'all resonate to the soulmate and twin flame ideology. Let me tell you something. God is real. The devil exists. Demons must stay employed. And the Jezebel spirit, she loves destroying you from the inside. Oh, yes, she does. Look at all those relationships she lured you into. You look like you fell right out of a magazine, didn't you? Then you got to see the goodies you was like till that pain came. Till that embarrassment showed up. How about that denial that's been going on for a very, very long time? That denial's been longer than, that denial has had more longevity than your happiness. What's wrong with that? That's like putting on your clothes and then putting your underwear on after the fact. Why would you do that? So the real question should be, why won't you love you? Why? Because your pride and ego says, well, if I do that, that means my whole thought process has a domino effect, and the decision I made here was influenced by the decision right here, and that decision was derived from here. Yes, right. And who's the commonality of it? You. Because guess what? You got free will. Nobody can make you do anything. That's right, Queens. Ain't nobody can make you open your legs either. Now, right. So you got to turn around and own your participation in your pain. You think that's your story? Now, last time I checked, statistically, and I'm wrong, and I mentioned this in the first video that I tried to put out this morning, and while I've been running around, I literally just walked in the door, y'all, just to reach out to you. Yeah, you, the person that's looking for validation. You've been running these races in your mind, and you said, you know what? I need confirmation on what I'm feeling. Doesn't matter if you need confirmation if you're not going to embrace it. That's no different than someone saying this, and there's no follow through. They're just doing this. There's no empowerment. They're just doing this. All they do is sustain. Time waits for no one, and time is your greatest commodity. So why are you falling for the okie doke, y'all? Because guess what? We'll say ballpark figures, the world is 6.9 billion people. Well, you know why that's 6.9? 3.6 will never see their potential. 3.6 will never be happy. 3.6 will never be comfortable in the skin they're in, which, by the way, is your largest organ, your epidermis. Listen here. Why are you living in the shadow of you by way of the connection through them? Somebody gave you a flyer with small print. But here's the thing. I need you to stop just for a second. And I need you to take a couple breaths in. And I need you to hear what I'm about to tell you. Those people right there, yeah, them. They're not going to be there. I know somebody said, well, Gerald, I'm married. I'm married, Gerald. Look, I got the ring. Yeah, but where's your heart? You know how you know that you tested? Because now you're hearing from people from your past. All of a sudden, these are the same people that didn't care if you were breathing. Now they want to know, do you remember? Come on, man. Now, can people change? All day, every day. Because God make a way when there is no way. But it has no merit if you don't embrace you. It doesn't matter what you have on your back, what you have in your pocket, what's found between your legs, if you don't know you. That's that person over there that's got that HIV. Why don't you ask them that? Why don't you ask that woman over there that just got diagnosed that she's got ovarian cysts and she's got to make a decision to go ahead and get this done with the risk of not being able to be a mother? Why don't you ask them that? Why don't you ask that person that is sitting in that 3x5 and they have nothing but time on their hands because they are literally being suppressed from their lives because they're incarcerated? Ask them that. But more importantly, why don't you ask that person that looks like you in the mirror that you owe everything to, why you 7? Yes, we could turn around and blame it on media, but media means nothing unless you embrace the message. How about take accountability for the fact that there is someone sitting somewhere in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, that doesn't give a damn about you. They just see you as digits on a profit sharing, and they're laughing and they're saying, look at them. See, it was easy at one time to turn around and say, well, you know, we blame this because you're the problem of that. Do you realize when you take a position as such, you give all aspects of your identity to the lowest bidder? That's not your story, y'all. That's not your story. And for those who have had to deal with sexual abuse, let me tell you something. I cannot reverse those tears. I cannot take that trauma from you. You know, Gerald always stayed prayed up. I stay prayed up for myself, but I do it for you. But just know this. If you wasn't destined for greatness, the devil wouldn't have had to come into your life to attack you. Now, that person who tried to defile you, there was nothing but a pawn. They were nothing but a tool of the physical action. But I guarantee they were hollow inside. That's why when you hear about people resulting to physical violence to oppress the other, those are some of the most broken people you'll ever come to know. Why? Because they're willfully choosing that as their life. But guess what? The great I am said it best. You will reap what you sow. That's pretty clear cut, don't you think? So whatever you put out is going to come back. And depending on what the message of experience is defined, the message will be received. Doesn't matter how hard you try to change your life. How about change your identity? 1 minute you was talking like that. Now you act like that. 1 minute you was over here. Now who are you? Don't you realize that's a person that doesn't know who they are? Because that's the making of what we know of the pathological liar, the sociopath, the schizophrenic. How about that hypochondriac? Ain't nothing wrong with you, but because there was that wound, you didn't care. You just said, well, I'll try this. And you ran with it. But little did you know, for every action, there's a reaction. How about an effect? Didn't God say your body's a temple? He also asked you, queens, to protect it. So why are you running from you? See, what we're witnessing is the failures of the byproducts of people who came before us. So guess what? Emotionally, physically, how about financially? The things that we were afraid to deal with, to show our fortitude, those became the events that you had to navigate through. Who am I talking to? It was all good yesterday, Gerald. I was riding high. Now you feel like nobody knows the trouble. Come on, man. Listen. That proverbial social line of the haves and the have-nots, I can turn around and flip it and say this. The haves and the have-nots is the same parable of the ant and the grasshopper. The grasshopper played, stayed, and chose not to grow. That ant had fortitude, saw its purpose, spoke his truth, and pressed on. And then when the seasons came, that ant was prepared. Because that ant knew who it was. That grasshopper just hopped around, had no stability, had no plan, because it had no purpose. Thought life was like 1999 until it was too late. It's not too late, y'all. But even as they say, the pressure busts the pipe, Gerald. How many pipes in your life got break? How many times does the trap door, gotta fling open from under your feet? Hmm? You know why that's happening? Because you're afraid to be yourself. And I'm gonna tell you something, y'all. I didn't do the stat, but I heard something that was said by, I think it was Tommy Sotomayor, and he said that tentatively there are the hair industry, the makes the hair weaves, and which is a international business, by the way, makes roughly over $10 billion a year. But nobody takes accountability on the effect of that's $10 billion off of someone's low self-esteem. That's $10 billion that is going in somebody's pocket by way of your insecurities. That's $10 billion that they make off of your doubts, banking that you will not see how beautiful you are. Meanwhile, your insecurities, your doubts, and lack thereof is solidifying a family's economic growth. Oh, yeah, because Johnny's going to go to college off of your fears. Mm-hmm. Yes. But because I'm a dreamer, I will not give up on you, because I believe one day, even this message is going to reach you, and it's going to touch you, and you're going to say enough's enough, and you're going to take that mask off. Now, we could also say this. Through maturity, you hear people say, well, I got to an age where I just didn't care about what people thought. Well, that's okay. As long as there's no deflection, as long as there's no victim card, as long as there's no reason to think that you're second rate. How are you going to be second rate when it's your life? How about your dreams? How much are your dreams worth, y'all? Because unfortunately, there are some that are selling their dreams for a half a bag of popcorn and 2-day-old Kool-Aid. I used to call that rock candy and fool's gold. So does it surprise you why you have the proverbial have compared to the have-nots? See, the have-nots won't invest in their lives. They'll run from it. They'll give you 1,001 excuses why they can't, when all they had to do was go within. See, everything that you need, y'all, to navigate through this life, you were given the moment you took your first breath. But it was time released. Would you take a diamond that is still in its cold form? Of course not. You throw it to the side. It's just a rock. No. Sure, there are hard spots we go through. Sure, there are things that we would like to classify as setbacks. How about that last disappointment you went through? Remember that one? Yeah, that one. You thought you'd never see the sunshine, but look at where you are. But see, I also know that's how the devil get down too, because see, the devil's a liar. Here he is. You know, he's constantly, oh, you think you're bad? Think you got through? Oh yeah. Well, see, I took the pressure off on that one because I have more pain. You know, because he's custom tailored too. The end goal is for you to willfully surrender your existence. That's what he wants. Yes, because in his eyes, you not only are a child of God, but in his spirit, you're an abomination. You're part of the problem. So he's got to do everything he can to make your life a mockery. That's not going down. Some of y'all actually believe that your tears are not blessed. And that's why you're carrying around that backpack, sitting in that window seat when you should be driving your life. Why? Why are you doing that? All this can change the moment that you stop running from you. You do understand those things that you left behind are still things that have to be mastered. All they do is manifest through someone else to bring you back down memory lane. I'm not making light of this. I'm letting you know that there are only a select few. See, first of all, God will give you things you don't deserve. In those situations, see, I know I'm talking to somebody because your heart fluttered. I'm talking to you. You know why God brings these people in your life? To inspire you, but also to validate that this is what you could have the moment that you decide to plant seeds. How about plant your feet? You can't plant your feet when they're in the air. Does it surprise you why every relationship you've ever known fails? Every one of them, even the ones that you're connected to by blood and bone. Failure. You know why? Because you refuse to you refuse to speak your truth, even to yourself. You deflect because it's convenient. How about stand up? How about say no? You know that word no? No does not mean forever. It means under review. If you don't like what is being presented, why aren't you speaking your truth? Yes, tact has a position, but you also, at a minimum, are required to meet that person, that response at the lowest level. Some people want you just to real talk, no chasing. Some people need to be guided. Some people just need to be loved. You realize there are people that actually walk around that don't love themselves? So if you're not part of the solution, you are the problem. Maybe that's why everything that you wish to possess has an expiration date. Because you do understand anything done by man's hands naturally has an expiration date, because man will never master forever. Only God does that because God created us. Which I find that very ironic. There are people that are boastfully saying, "Yeah, I'm rocking with Lucifer. Yeah, he give me what I want, but at what price? What price?" But you too busy worrying about what the Joneses is doing instead of protecting what you need. Your greatest story you'll ever come to know is your life. So whoever is in your ear, stop worrying about what's in your money, what's in your wallet. Because God trumped that. He said, those who are last will be made first, And those who are first are made last. Why? Because the main lesson is to teach you humility. Haven't you found it kind of ironic that the same people that you may have said something in conversation, you said, look at them. Look at how ironic. You end up becoming one of them. You know why? Not to punish you, to protect you, to show you how and why you are supposed to have an empathetic point of view. Sometimes he will let you lean close to a situation that has nothing to do with you so that you can get the lesson from it. You know why? He don't want you to go through that. So I'm giving you a privy opportunity to gain insight. You know the story. You know what your parents used to say. If Johnny walked down the street and there was a hole in there and Johnny fell in the hole, would you follow Johnny? Most people can't even say anything. But the moral of it is you're supposed to learn. How can you help Johnny if you won't be able to protect yourself? I got it because people say, well, I'm not ride or die. You're right. You ain't ride or die because you putting yourself at risk. You running after her. You running after her and she ain't your wife. That's what amazes me when I hear guys say, that's my wifey. You really? She your wifey, right? Mm. That ain't nothing but a glorified roommate with financial access to you. But what the biggest price is your self-worth and respect because you are there. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about that? Nothing happens by chance, y'all. See, that person that used the coined the term fate said that because they didn't want to acknowledge God's existence. So guess what God does? He says, okay, you think you can do it without me? All right then. And he's out of your life. And guess what? All the things you didn't know, all the things you didn't see, now you have to deal. But because he loves us so much, y'all, in the 13th hour, when there's despair and there's no solution, what happens? He'll come. He'll send somebody. Look who you remember that blessing that walked in, you were like, how did that happen? I don't know what I would have done. That's right. When you don't know what you would have done, you're right. At least you got that part right. But that was God's doing. God was using that person to convey something or do something. Why? Because he don't want to see you suffer. But them 3.2 billion people, they do. Because they're always soliciting membership. They want you to be broken, just as broken as them. If they so much your friend, why won't they tell you the truth? Why won't they be transparent? Why won't they be vulnerable to themselves? How about see value in their dreams? You know why? Because see, you can't understand your purpose, your aspirations, or understanding from a literal sense until you understand yourself. But guess what? Each one teach one. So if you didn't have that foundation in your upbringing, your perception will make your viewpoint very small. That's why for a long time there used to be a campaign. You used to hear it all through media, radio, TV. You know, I know for the last 30 years, they always would say, your education, get your education, get your education. You know? Well, what about the education of you? Hmm? You think that little runaway would have ran away if she felt emotionally safe? How about that little boy that's not at home? And he's somewhere doing tricks because he can't find safety in his environment. That's why I tell you, queens, all the time. Anytime you think, especially you, my mamas, you got a little boy, don't mess his life up. Don't mess his life up. You make sure he got a good man in his life. Because you can't teach him to be a man. And a man cannot teach a little girl to be a woman. But see, we've progressed through life that you have a lot of people that think, I hear this all the time. You hear women say, I'm your mama and your daddy. No, you're not. All you're doing is preparing the next woman to finish the job off. Because he doesn't know any better. Because everybody loves mama. But isn't it kind of ironic? Mama don't like the girls he bring around. Why? Because she see images of herself in them. Does it surprise you why? Still to this day, 2016, the typical female will not take accountability for her actions. Why is that? Because you have a love affair of your pride and your ego. And you broker it to the lowest bidder. So you're wondering why little Johnny won't get off the couch? He's more in love with that game controller and giving you grief. You know why Johnny's sitting on that couch? Because Johnny's parents didn't support him. 9 times out of 10, there wasn't a man in his life to kick him in his pants, to stand him up straight and say, this is what a man is required. That's why you got a lot of boys out here that act like girls. And guess what? Society knows that and is profiting off of that. And that's why the clothes are neutral now. You ever notice that? Look at the tennis shoes. A little boy or a little girl can wear those now. If the shoe fits, why you claiming it? But I ain't giving up on you. But I know this though. Queen, if we stay on the path that we're on, there won't be any men left. Society's also agreed to you. They already know that. They want to disenfranchise you really bad because they know as long as you're unstable, so will your children be. Don't believe me? Look at social services. See? You can't be in a viable relationship and be on social services. They tell you that right off the bat. You can't have a man in your life. I am your daddy. I am your man. You want to still eat? You still want to feed off the hand that's giving you? You got to play by my rules. So guess what? Who's pimping who? For what? A check? Your dreams is worth a check? How about your body? Because unfortunately, there's somebody waking up right now with the unfortunate bad news. You will never be a mother. But that's already written in Proverbs. Proverbs talk about the defiled bed. That's why it's not your responsibility, nor is ever asked for you, queen, to go find you a man. Don't you realize that's the devil's work? He wants you to think like a man, but you don't even know how to be a lady. Why? Because you don't know who you are. So how can the right man, the spiritual man, connect to your spirit if you're broken? All God asked was, be the wildflower, be that petal, invest in yourself. And once the work is done, guess what? That man will have the spiritual keys that will protect your heart, but will also unlock the other side of your life. It doesn't matter what your sexual prowess is. You know what happens to people that invest in their sexual prowess? They get ran through and they get forgotten. Mm-hmm. That's real talk. Because no decent man is going to risk his seed. How about his legacy? He's not going to give you his last name. Wifeys don't get last names. They get excuses. Who am I talking to? But guess what? You signed off on it. If this person won't even tell you what they're doing next week, it's because they don't plan on being there next week. Because they're living today. They're living day to day. So how can you build something with someone that lives for the moment? Remember, YOLO, you live only once? Come on, man. How the seed. Come on, think about it. He treats your body like a bowling ball now and laughs at you because you're so broken. He's teaching you to divorce yourself. I better not show any emotion because then I'm gonna be weak. You're a fool. I said it. You're a fool to not embrace your emotions. How can you know what you need if you don't know you? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what. It's called impulsive decision making. And guess what happens? Even P.T. Barnum, the creator of the circus, said, a fool and his money will soon part. There's a whole lot of fools running around here. But guess what? The haves know that. The have-nots can continue to complain. But guess what? They won't do nothing about it. I'll do you one better. The haves, you ain't going to see them out there messing up their stuff. Mm-mm. And then the have-nots who decide, yeah, we're going to tear your stuff up. Guess what? You just turned around and bought something. You just bought a brand new building for them. Why? Because they were smart enough to put insurance on it. But you don't see the ripple effect because now, guess what? That's another business closed. So now you got to spend money to get that goods and service. Did you ever think about that? Have you also noticed that the haves don't live in your community? They treat it like a battery. And once the battery has lost its power, they're gone. So tell me again why your dreams don't matter. Tell me again your hopes have no merit. Convince me you're not beautiful. Because I'll show you someone that ain't living. But you ain't gotta take my word for it. Just look at your life. You gonna sit up here and tell me every challenge you went through you deserve? And like like a little country dude sitting on his stoop, and he's got his little pocket knife, and he's whittling on that wood. The wood is your heart. The wood is your foundation. This is my incense holder, by the way. I'm just using this as a metaphor. Every time you allow someone in your life, they better come correct. And don't think because of the person you look like has merit. Let me tell you something. Any fool will lay down with anybody. Why you think diseases are where they are? We're in 2016. You telling me we still don't have a cure for the common cold? It's population control. They know. There's a cure for every ailment on this planet. Why? Because God made it so. He told us in the Bible, it's in the earth, just like you're going to be if you don't live your life correctly. What they say, ashes to ashes. Right, dust to dust. Why? Because you're going to go back from whence you came. So tell me again why you don't see your work. Why? Because Ray Ray, you caught up on what Ray Ray has. Don't you realize if it ain't blessed, what you're going to inherit is all this drama. Because you're going to watch him lose every bit of it. Who am I talking to? Doesn't matter how wide you can spread your legs, queen. You can be replaced. All I'm trying to do is get you to replace your denial with your self-worth. And let me tell you something, queen. Let me let you know something from one of the good ones. This environment that you see out here, the makeup, the magazines, and the media, us, the spiritual ones, the good dudes, excuse my French, we don't give a damn about that. We don't. Them young ones do. Them bad boys do. Keyword boy. Why do you think bad boys exist? Because they never had a dad in their life. If I turned around and planted a seed and didn't cultivate it or put it in the right environment, guess what? That plant is going to grow crooked. It's going to grow just to grow. Now, if I turn around and plant that seed in good soil and I put the right support, not only will that plant grow upright, the roots will run deep, the branches will stretch out, and guess what? If it's a flower, you will smell the fragrance and not even around. That is your character. Not everybody's supposed to know your story, y'all. So if you're getting tired of being screwed over, treated like a piece of meat, lied to, well, you can make that all go away when, number one, you stop running. Because guess what? It's your life. You're supposed to protect it. Those are also your dreams. And you know, and here's a brutal truth too, because a lot of people, unfortunately, go through this. You see it. You'll run into that person, they're being in their 70s. And they look a little rough on the edges. They're a little short. They have wisdom, but they're a little short, a little bitter, a little bit, you know, like they're sucking on salt. You know why they do that? Because they've gotten to a place inside them where they're mad at themselves. And they realize what they lost. The greatest commodity is your time, y'all. But guess what? You know those halves? Those halves? You never see them take a step down. Mm-mm. Now, them opportunists may try to latch on to those halves, but guess what? Real recognizes real. And when the fake is exposed, guess what happens? It gets left. They can't go where I go. Remember Stevie Wonder sing that? That's your story. Doesn't matter what you can do in the sack. I showed him. I'm going to have him come back around. No, he's looking at you as, that's another fantasy. Stretch. Oh, yeah. Queens, y'all do it too. Yeah, you do. Some of y'all are so bold and brazen with your sexuality. You have a starting five. And I know Steve Harvey once wrote about it, and he said it in King's Comedy. He said, yes, yes. She's got that guy that fixes things. Hmm. She's got that gay guy because he likes to talk. Hmm. She's got that guy that's good with the kids. When she's tired, he comes around. Hmm. She's got that benefactor because, you know, since he likes what she looks like, he's the ATM. Hmm. But you know what she doesn't have? She doesn't have the one. Because that one will encompass all those things. But the commonality with those, they all got you. So respect, honor, protection is not on the table. And that table is called denial. See, a man will never lose his self respect, no matter how much you try to say this and say that about him. And by all means, Queens, please know this. You could try to attack a person's character. He was this, he did that, and he did this and this. Guess what? They're gonna look at you but you was with him. So what does that say on your decision making? Hmm. And y'all wasn't baking cookies. Hmm. What was really going on? Who was the pimp and who was the hmm? See, a lot of women think, well, if I think like a man, I can think and act and I'll no. Guess what happens? What happens is it plays out on you physically. Hmm. Yes, but it goes deeper because all the things that you ran from, those secrets, you gotta love them secrets. Secrets have a way of coming out. It's written all over your face. And next thing you know, you blink twice, you got that bump. Got a medicine cabinet because of your fears. You know how many people are walking around with prescription pills, don't even need them? You do understand every time you go to the doctor, yeah, they can assess, but 50% of that is a guesstimation or a process of elimination. That's why they give you all those pills. Why? Because it's a business first. And also, guess what? There's no money in cures. There's money made in sustainment. So, I wish you well. A life cut down before its time is one too many. But we've been, see, that's the shock on all y'all because we have been conditioned to think that it's okay. Have you not noticed that every day in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, the body counts continue? But see, I saw that a long time ago because see, when they started banging the gongs about, well, if you don't come get your weapons now, you can't get them. What happened? There were gun shows everywhere. And yes, the haves were stocking up. Ain't nobody gonna come on in here. How ironic. The responsibility ended the moment it went outside the door. Why? Because there's about 85% of firearms are legal. I know someone right now had an AR-15 and a 45 stolen. And I told them, I said, you need to assess who and what company you kept. Because they know, they know, they know, they watched you. But what saddens me is the fact that that's somebody's son, that's someone's daughter, sitting on a slab with a toe tag. Autopsies are done, but nobody says who's going to claim their dreams. Who's going to protect their character? You don't hear nobody talking about that. Why? It's easier to deflect than take accountability. Why is it that every time you turn the TV, there's a big woman saying, "Why'd you take my baby?" Because you didn't protect them. You turned around and became the friend before the parent. You did not support. You didn't give the support by speaking your truth. And would you believe 50% of the children, you remember, latchkey generation, had to learn things on their own. Why? Not because of pushing the maturity. Truth is, most parents didn't give a damn because they wasn't ready to be parents. So statistically, another child dreams from being robbed from society. That's another mother, another father. How about the lineage that would have come from them? See, we can acknowledge the lineage of those that are the survivors, but what about those who will never be? So think about this, Queen. You don't want a badass son? Don't deprive him from what he needs. He needs a man. Preferably a spiritual one. Because if you leaning up on Paco because you know he look all hard and he ain't taking no crap, well guess what? He ain't gonna take no crap from you. And when he get tired of the illusion, he gonna leave you. He gonna leave you. He leaving you. That's why God said prepare. He didn't say seek. He said prepare. So when I hear about women, yeah, I did this. Look, he came from that. You made that man into his image, not his image. So guess what? You can't claim something that ain't blessed. That ended up becoming your burden. And you wonder why he going upside your head. Disrespecting you. You know why? Because that's all he knows. He saw it. But then, love it, I wanted to tell you this. If you were meant to be hit, your name would be Everlast. But I also know this too. Kings, if you strong arming somebody, just know this. You better pray. You better pray you don't have a daughter. You better pray you don't have any sisters. Because every word, every action that came from you, somebody gonna do to them. That's what divine intervention is. You don't believe me? You take that scenario. Dude known for being a hate monger. But he has a child. And then come to find out that child, the things you hate, that child loves. And a baby comes from it. Why? Because then you have to look and take accountability. That's an extension of you. So guess what happens? You are humbled real quick through time and experience. That's how it goes. What you put out, you shall receive tenfold. So why are you running from me? God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, It helps me discern mine. You tired of the pain? Stop running from yourself. You can do it. Bye.